Day 4 of Drawing Who Monsters. Today's monster, the Sontaran. The Sontarans are a humanoid race of belligerent and militaristic clones from the planet Sontar, created by the Kveach. They waged an eternal war throughout Mutter's spiral against the Rudens, though they made no effort to change this, nor did they want peace. The Sontarans reproduced by cloning, meaning every Sontaran was nearly identical to each other. The Sontarans were a martial species, obsessed with war. They hated the idea of a great war going on without them. Humans who met them, such as Sarah Jane Smith, Clyde Langer and B. Nelson Stanley, often compared them to huge potatoes with ray guns. In the episode, Eye of the Gorgon and the Last Sontaran. A warrior race characterized by their ruthlessness and fearlessness of death, they were conceived by writer and future story editor Robert Holmes and first appeared in the 1973 Doctor Who serial The Time Warrior. The Sontarans are a race of humanoids with a stocky build, greenish-brown skin, a distinctive dome-shaped head, and they have only 3 fingers on each hand, though some members of their species do have 5 fingers. Their musculature is designed for load-bearing rather than leverage, because of the high gravity on their home planet. Ross Jenkins in The Sontaran Stratagem describes the main Sontaran villain, General Stahl, as resembling a talking baked potato, whilst in sequel episode The Poison Sky, Colonel Alan Mace likens the Sontarans to trolls. Sontarans come from a large, dense planet named Sontar in the southern spiral arm of the galaxy, which has a very strong gravitational field, which explains their compact stocky form. They are far stronger than humans and, in the recent series, are shorter than the average human male. The Sontarans have an extremely militaristic culture which prizes discipline and honor as its highest virtues. Every aspect of their draconian society is geared toward warfare, and every experience is viewed in terms of its martial relevance. In the Sontaran experiment, the 4th Doctor comments that Sontarans never do anything without a military reason. In fact, to die heroically in battle is their ultimate goal. Aside from a ritualistic chant, Sontarha, in The Sontaran Stratagem, / The Poison Sky, they are never seen to engage in any activity that would be considered recreation, though a few offhand comments by Commander Score in The Poison Sky suggest they do consider hunting a sport. According to their creator Robert Holmes, Sontarans do have a highly developed artistic culture, but have put it on hold for the duration of the war, while the opening chapter of the novelization of The Time Warrior, based on Holmes' incomplete draft, refers to Link's listening to the Sontaran anthem while his spaceship is in flight. The Sontarans depicted in the series have detached, smug personalities, and a highly developed sense of honor. On multiple occasions, the Doctor has used his knowledge of their pride in their species to manipulate them. In The Sontaran Stratagem, the Doctor nevertheless referred to them as the finest soldiers in the galaxy. Although physically formidable, the Sontarans' weak spot is the probic vent at the back of their neck, through which they draw nutrition. It is also part of their cloning process. In Earth-like atmospheres, the Sontaran armor suit requires a change of gases every 27 hours, also conducted through the probic vent. The vent also provides an incentive to continue moving forward in battle, since retreat would expose this area to their enemies. They have been killed by targeting that location with a knife, The Invasion of Time, a screwdriver, Shakedown, Return of the Sontarans, and an arrow, The Time Warrior. Even something as simple as a squash ball aimed at that point, The Sontaran Stratagem, contact by the heel of a shoe, The Last Sontaran, or a blow from a wok, War of the Sontarans, is capable of incapacitating them temporarily. They are also vulnerable to chironic acid, the 2 Doctors. While the Sontarans wear protective helmets in battle, to fight without their helmets, or to be open-skinned, is an honor for the Sontarans. In the episode, The Poison Sky, it is revealed that the Sontaran Empire have been at war with the Ruden host for more than 50,000 years, and which, at a time around 2008, they are losing. The war is still raging at least 20,000 years later, in the serial The Sontaran Experiment. It was joked that the two species have been at war for so long, they had almost forgotten the reason why. The Two Doctors. Most of the Sontarans depicted in the television series have had short names, many beginning with an initial st sound. Examples include Styr, The Sontaran Experiment, Stor, The Invasion of Time, Stike, The Two Doctors, Stahl, The Sontaran Stratagem, / The Poison Sky, Stark, The Pandorica Opens, Strax and Stenk, The Vanquishers, others are Score, The Sontaran Stratagem, / The Poison Sky, Ritska and Kroger, The Halloween Apocalypse, Skok, War of the Sontarans, Lynx, The Time Warrior, Varl, The Two Doctors, Jask, The End of Time, and Calf, The Sarah Jane Adventures. Elements of the Sontaran military structure mentioned in the series include the Sontaran G3 Military Assessment Survey and the Grand Strategic Council, the 9th Sontaran Battle Group, the 5th Army Space Fleet of the Sontaran Army Space Corps, and the 10th Sontaran Battle Fleet. Military titles include Commander, Group Marshal, Field Major, and General. Agnomens include the Undefeated, the Bloodbringer, the Avenger, and the Slayer. The Sontarans are a monogender asexual, male gender-only, species. They reproduce by means of cloning rather than sexual reproduction, and thus for the most part are extremely similar in appearance. Human characters in both the Sontaran Experiment and the Sontaran Stratagem comment on how closely individual Sontarans resemble one another. However, their height, skin tone, facial features, vocal timbre and accent, hair, spacing of teeth and even number of fingers have varied from story to story, and sometimes within stories. When Luke Radigan asks how they can tell each other apart in The Sontaran Stratagem, General Stahl remarks that they say the same of humans. In The Time Warrior, Link states that, at the Sontaran Military Academy we have hatchings of 1 million cadets at each muster parade. The Doctor also comments in The Invasion of Time that Sontarans can mass clone themselves at rates up to 1 million embryos every 4 minutes. Thereafter the clones take just 10 minutes to grow to adulthood. When the Sontaran reach adulthood, under the charge of the Sontaran High Command, each warrior is immediately given a rank and dispatched on a battle mission. From day one, the Sontarans are sent to battle. The audio The King of Sontar introduces a unique occasion where one Sontaran is the only result of a clone batch, the resulting Sontaran being essentially 1 million Sontarans in one, making him far taller than the average for his species and lacking a probic vent. Sontarans reproduce asexually and all the Sontarans depicted in the television series are of one gender, referred to with masculine pronouns, however it is not known if they possess distinctly male physiologies. General Stahl comments that words are the weapons of womenfolk, 8, and that the clone of Martha Jones performed well, for a female, as commentary on the gender inequalities of other species. This typifies a Sontaran trait, interested only in the strongest fighters in any group or race. Despite this, Strax appeared perfectly comfortable with the prospect of wearing dresses in The Battle of Demon's Run. 2 days later, he ultimately dressed in human gentleman's attire, nevertheless. In The Time Warrior, when Lynx examines Sarah Jane, he comments on how the human reproduction system is inefficient and that humans should change it. As multiple genders are foreign to them, Sontarans are known to confuse the human male and female sexes. Strax routinely addresses young women as a boy and vice versa, and claims not to have known that River Song was a woman. In The Sontaran Stratagem, the Sontarans are seen to create human clones by growing them in tubs of green fluid. Enemy of the Bane confirms that Sontarans are cloned in the same way. In a human clone, the umbilical corresponds to the probic vent on the back of a Sontaran's neck, suggesting that the vent is not unlike the human navel, albeit clearly more complex. The 10th Sontaran Battle Fleet in the new series consists of a command ship and a number of capsules that can be moved into position when battle status is enjoined. Sontaran ships are impervious to nuclear missiles, however in War of the Sontarans they are vulnerable to both ramming by another Sontaran ship and also to explosions of barrels of gunpowder. In both the classic and new series, Sontarans are depicted using spherical or semi-spherical single-occupant spacecraft known as capsules. Each capsule is small enough to avoid detection by radar and is piloted by an individual Sontaran. The Sontaran stratagem also saw the introduction of a large mothership from which the small Sontaran capsules could be seen to originate. The Doctor notes that the one ship by itself is enough to completely wipe out Earth. The Sontarans have a variety of weapons. Their distinctive weapon is a small rod with two handles and a plunger at one end, giving it a syringe style. This is so it can be held and fired using 3 fingers. This weapon fires a disabling beam that can temporarily render a person useless and emits an energy pulse that can repair systems like the teleport, and has appeared in every Sontaran story except the Sontaran experiment. When first used by Commander Lynx in the Time Warrior, it shows the ability to fire a beam which can disarm by knocking the weapon out of the wielder's hand, hypnotize, as well as cutting through wood, disabling limbs and killing. In the Sontaran experiment, Field Major Steyer instead used a small red laser pistol which only killed, although it did not kill the Doctor, because of a small metal plate the Doctor had been keeping in his inside pocket. The Invasion of Time saw Commander Storr using the small rod again, but also in Episode 6, a Sontaran trooper uses a short black rifle-like laser to try to burn through a lock on a door inside the TARDIS. The 2 Doctors introduced a weapon called the Meson gun, as named in the Jimmel Fix-It sketch, a fix with Sontarans, a large silver rifle with a red fuel tank in the center which was used by Group Marshal Stike and Varl in the 3rd episode. It seemed to be some kind of flamethrower as it fired a jet of flames very briefly. Group Marshal Stike was also seen carrying a baton. It would not be until the Sontaran stratagem that General Stahl would show that the baton can fire an orange beam that could stun the target. In the Poison Sky, Commander Skor and his troops carry large laser rifles into battle. These rifles are the Sontaran gun of the 10th Sontaran Battle Fleet. Each rifle has a laser beam that kills instantly and is designed for a 3-fingered grip. In the Invasion of Time, their armor is shown to be resistant to Time Lord Stasser's and K9's blaster. However, their armor is vulnerable to standard human firearms in The Poison Sky, but the Sontarans in that episode used a Coeur-d'Alene signal, which caused the copper-lined bullets to expand, jamming most firearms instantly. Unit troops overcame this by switching to steel-lined bullets. The Sarah Jane Adventure story The Last Sontaran showed further technological advancements of the modern Sontarans. Commander Kaff, a surviving pilot from the 10th Sontaran Battle Fleet, had slightly different armor due to being from the Special Forces. His suit featured no gloves, so his bare hands were visible, and on his left arm was a control panel for his suit and ship. His helmet could fold up and retract, and both his suit and ship featured cloaking devices, turning them both invisible. While the soldiers of the 10th Fleet were armed with large laser rifles, Kaff has a smaller laser carbine. Rather than hypnotizing humans, as Sarah pointed out they usually do, instead, Kaff fixed neural control devices to the back of the necks of his human agents. A red light flashes when it is operational, and Kaff can activate and deactivate them when he wants with his control panel. A pair of Sontarans that tried to invade Trenzalore in Time of the Doctor used a 2-man craft with an invisibility field. During rehearsals for their first appearance, Kevin Lindsay, who portrayed the original Sontaran, Lynx, pronounced the race's name as Sontaran. Alan Bromley, the director, tried to correct him by saying it should be pronounced with the stress on the first syllable. Lindsay declared, "Well, I think it's Sontaran, and since I'm from the place, I should know." His preferred pronunciation was retained. The Sontarans made their first appearance in 1973 in the serial The Time Warrior by Robert Holmes, where Lynx is stranded in the Middle Ages. Lynx uses a projector to bring back human scientists from the future to fix his spacecraft. Another Sontaran named Steyer appears in the Sontaran Experiment, 1975, experimenting on captured astronauts on a far future Earth. Their third appearance is in The Invasion of Time, where they successfully invade Gallifrey, but are driven out again after less than a day. They appeared for the final time in the original series in The Two Doctors. The Sontarans also appeared in a skit for the BBC children's programme Jim'll Fix It titled A Fix with Sontarans, along with Colin Baker as the Sixth Doctor and Janet Fielding as Tegan Javanka. References are made in Sontaran episodes to the Ruden host, an equally militaristic race with whom the Sontarans have been at war for thousands of years. A Ruden is seen in Horror of Fong Rock, 1977, which does not feature the Sontarans, but have not featured in the television series again. Sporting an updated design, Sontarans return to the revived series in the series' 4 episodes, The Sontaran Stratagem and The Poisoned Sky, 2008. The Sontarans plan to terraform the Earth into a new clone world, but their plans are averted by the 10th Doctor, David Tennant. It is also revealed that the race was excluded from the last Great Time War of the revived series backstory. In Turn Left, 2008, the same events are depicted in a parallel universe, where Rose Tyler, Billie Piper, describes their plan as foiled by Torchwood, characters from the spin-off show of that name, at the cost of their lives, with Torchwood leader Captain Jack Harkness, John Barrowman, being captured by the Sontarans. In The Stolen Earth, 2008, Unit is revealed to have developed a teleportation device based on Sontaran technology. A lone survivor from the events of The Poisoned Sky, Commander Calf, Anthony O'Donnell, next appears in The Last Sontaran, 2008, from spin-off series The Sarah Jane Adventures. Calf appears again in Enemy of the Bane, 2008. In Doctor Who's The End of Time, Part 2, 2010, a Sontaran sniper, Dan Starkey, briefly appears pursuing the Doctor's former companions Mickey Smith, Noel Clarke, and his wife Martha Jones, Freema Agyeman, but is defeated by the Doctor before he can assassinate them. Alongside the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith, Sontaran battle fleets are seen in Series 5 finale episode, The Pandorica Opens, 2010, as part of an alliance of the Doctor's enemies. Series 6 episode, A Good Man Goes to War, 2011, introduces Commander Strax, Starkey, a Sontaran nurse who has been assigned this role as a means of making penance. He fights on the side of the Doctor and his allies, which include the Silurian warrior Madame Vastra, Neve McIntosh, and her wife, Jenny Flint, Katrin Stewart. Strax then appears alongside Vastra and Jenny in The Snowman, 2012, The Crimson Horror, The Name of the Doctor, both 2013, and Deep Breath, 2014. A troop of Sontarans is also shown among Trenzalor's invaders in the 2013 Christmas special, The Time of the Doctor. A Sontaran appears briefly in the 2015 episode, Face the Raven, as a refugee. The appearance of the Sontarans was redesigned for the 13th Doctor's final season, Flux, where they reappeared in their first major antagonistic role since 2008. First appearing in the season premiere, Chapter 1, The Halloween Apocalypse, the Sontarans plan to exploit the Flux crisis to take over Earth in its various time periods. They sent a group back in time to Crimean War era Sevastopol in Chapter 2, The War of the Sontarans as a trial run, only to be defeated by the Doctor while Dan and Carvanista take out the main fleet. The Sontarans reappear in the cliffhanger for Chapter 5, Survivors of the Flux, where they invade and take over Earth during the Flux crisis thanks to the intervention of their ally the Grand Serpent. In Chapter 6, The Vanquishers, the Doctor and her allies learn the Sontarans' plan to trick the Cybermen and Daleks into being consumed by the Flux while staying safe themselves by hijacking the Lupari ships. however the Doctor hijacks the ships herself and uses the Flux event to destroy the Sontaran army as well. The origins of the Sontarans have not been revealed in the television series. The Doctor Who role-playing game published by FASA claimed that they were all descended from the genetic stock of General Sontar, or Sontarans, who used newly developed bioengineering techniques to clone millions of duplicates of himself and annihilated the non-clone population. He renamed the race after himself and turned the Sontarans into an expansionist and warlike society set on universal conquest. However, this origin has no basis in anything seen in the television series. The Sontarans have also appeared as a character in the PC game Destiny of the Doctors released on December 5, 1997, by BBC Multimedia. They can be defeated by firing the occupants of an angry beehive at them. The Sontarans appear in the Doctor Who, The Adventure Games episode, The Gunpowder Plot. The Sontarans have also appeared several times in the Doctor Who magazine comic strip, both as adversaries of the Doctor and in strips not involving the Doctor. In The Outsider, DWM #25-26, by Steve Moore and David Lloyd, a Sontaran named Scront invaded the world of Bratilis with the unwitting help of Demi-Mon, a local astrologer. The Fourth Doctor faced the Sontarans in Dragon's Claw, DWM #39-45, by Steve Moore and Dave Gibbons, where a crew of Sontarans menaced China in 1522 AD. In Stephen Moffat's short story, What I Did on My Christmas Holidays by Sally Sparrow, the basis for the 10th Doctor episode, Blink, the Ninth Doctor has a rooftop sword fight with two Sontarans in 21st century Istanbul, defeating them with the help of spy Sally Sparrow, apparently before the events of Rose, in his personal timeline. The Sontaran homeworld was destroyed in the future during the events of the 7th Doctor strip Pure Blood, DWM #193-196, but the Sontaran race pool survived, allowing for further cloning. The strip introduced the concept of pure-blood Sontarans not born of cloning. The Sontarans also feature in the Croton solo strip Unnatural Born Killers, DWM number 277, and the 10th Doctor's comic strip debut The Betrothal of Sontar, DWM #365-368, by John Tomlinson and Nick Abadzis, where a Sontaran mining rig on the ice planet Serac comes under attack by a mysterious force. Summary of appearances. This list does not include Strax, who has his own list. Doctor Who. The Time Warrior, 1973. The Sontaran Experiment, 1975. The Invasion of Time, 1978. The Two Doctors, 1985. The Sontaran Stratagem, /The Poison Sky, 2008. Flux, 2021. The Halloween Apocalypse, 2021. War of the Sontarans, 2021. Survivors of the Flux, 2021. The Vanquishers, 2021. Cameos. The End of Time, 2010. The Pandorica Opens, 2010. A Good Man Goes to War, 2011. The Time of the Doctor, 2013. Face the Raven, 2015. The Sarah Jane Adventures. The Last Sontaran, 2008. Enemy of the Bane, 2008. Stay tuned for the next monster, The Empty Child.